Hello, and welcome back to the IELTS Prep Podcast. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, environment and climate change. This is not just a popular subject in the IELTS speaking test, it's also something that affects all of us in real life. So let's explore how to talk about this topic clearly and confidently. In the IELTS speaking test, questions about the environment can appear in two parts. In part 1, you might be asked about your personal habits, like recycling or saving energy. In part 3, the questions usually focus on broader issues, like climate change, pollution, or ways to protect the planet. Let's begin by learning some useful vocabulary. When talking about the environment, using specific words can make your answers stronger. For example, when discussing problems, you can mention things like air pollution, water pollution, or plastic waste. For climate issues, terms like global warming, deforestation, or greenhouse gases are very useful. And if you're suggesting solutions, you can talk about renewable energy, recycling, or sustainable living. Here's an example. If someone asks, what can individuals do to protect the environment? You could answer like this. Individuals can help by recycling, using energy-efficient appliances, and reducing their use of plastic. Small changes like these can make a big difference. Now let's move on to some sample questions. I'll give an example question and answer. Think about how you would respond to these questions. First question, what do you do to help the environment? You might say, I try to help the environment by recycling at home and using public transport instead of driving. I also reduce waste by carrying a reusable water bottle and avoiding single-use plastics. Second question, what are the biggest environmental problems in your country? A possible answer could be, in my country, one of the biggest problems is air pollution, especially in the cities. Traffic and factory emissions are major causes. Another issue is plastic waste, which pollutes rivers and oceans. Third question, do you think governments are doing enough to tackle climate change? You could answer, I think some governments are doing a lot, like investing in renewable energy and reducing emissions. But I believe more global action is needed to solve this problem effectively. Notice how each answer is more than just a yes or no. Adding details and examples makes your answers more complete and interesting. Now let's try a fluency practice exercise. In part 2 of the speaking test, you'll need to talk for 1 to 2 minutes about a given topic. Here's a question for you to practice. Describe an environmental problem that affects your area. You should say what the problem is, what causes it, and what can be done to solve it. Take a moment to think about your answer. If you need more time, feel free to pause. When you're ready, start speaking. Try to keep going for at least 1 minute. Here's an example answer. In my area, one of the biggest environmental problems is plastic waste. It's caused by people using too many single-use plastics, like bags and bottles, and not recycling them properly. This waste often ends up in rivers and parks, which harms wildlife and pollutes the area. To solve this problem, I think we need more awareness campaigns to educate people about recycling and stricter laws to reduce plastic use. For example, banning plastic bags and encouraging reusable ones would help a lot. How did you do? Practicing this type of answer regularly will improve your fluency and confidence. And that's it for today's episode on environment and climate change. Remember, when talking about this topic, try to include specific examples and use a variety of vocabulary. This shows the examiner that you can discuss important global issues with clarity and depth. Before we finish, here's a quick challenge. Record yourself answering these questions. 1. What is the most serious environmental problem in the world today? 2. What can young people do to help the environment? 3. Do you think the future of the planet looks positive or negative? Why? Feel free to share your recordings for feedback. Thank you for joining me today on the IELTS Prep Podcast. Keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.